Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, I'm KingNido, and welcome to the draft day of the PokeType League VGC 3.
3, 2, 1, go!
Now could you imagine if a Pokemon such as Forretress can be so good in the PokeType League, what other Pokemon have missed out on those opportunities? But before we get started, let us know who you think will be drafted to what teams in the comments below. Now what is different in the draft this time is that the Legendaries, our Delta type team, will be a part of the draft for the very first time, but not just that, this draft is going to be even more unique and that will become very clear in a moment, but its impact will be felt for seasons to come, and this will help make the league even better and add much more depth to the selections going forward. But we will touch on that lightly at the very end of the video after going over the teams and their natures. But just like last season's draft, the order will go that the side who received the wooden crown, the Pewter Skulls, will draft first in every round, and we will work our way up the list with the Medallia Aethers drafting last at the end of every round as well. And with that said, let's get into the draft. And that first draft pick is Lycanroc in its midday form for the Pewter Skulls. As it does go to the ground types, they do take Donphan, who we have seen in the PokeType League before, and it does go to the electric types, taking Electrode in that Hisuian form. As we go to the water types, taking Golduck, a former terrestrial draftee, just like Electrode. It is a Rangaroo who is going to the normal types, as the bug types, they do opt for Vespiquen, returning to the PokeType League for the first time since Season 1, as it is Oricorio, the first draft pick for the Delta type team on draft day, as our Creamy does go to the Fairy type team. Making our way up the list, the Ghost types take a returning Poltegeist, and the Psychic team is going to take Gothitelle, also returning to the PokeType League. Now the former champion's first draft pick is going to be Scrafty, as the Dark types did win that first season of the PokeType League. Ninetales in its Cantonian form, returning to the Fire types, as the Steel type team take Bastiodon, who will be making its debut this season, and the Grass types taking Vileplume, who's also going to be making their debut. Now our last 5 draft picks of round 1, it's Poliwrath going to the Vilestone Breakers, the Mahogany Explorers taking Glalie, as the Hammerlock Draconids with their first draft pick, they will be taking a returning Flapple, and the Verbank Plasma taking Toxapex, also returning with that Champions Game experience. But the Medallia Aethers, their first pick, is going to be Hawlucha, donning that shiny form that team has received for this season. But that rounds out our first round. Starting round 2, and it is going to be Lycanroc once again, but this time in its midnight form. The Skulls have separated the Lycanrocs, as Clawitzer is going to the Aqua. And it is Oinkologne returning this season as well to the normal types, and Pormok going to the Lumiose Yellows, as the Castelia Pinchers are going to take Galvantula, who is going to be making their debut. The Viridian Magma will be taking Mudsdale with that stamina ability to join Donphan, and the Neos taking Tauros, a very interesting pick for the Lentil Neos, that changing team. It is Orthworm returning since Season 1 to the Steel types, and Malamar going to the Dark type team, as the Grass types will be taking Blossom, going fantastically there with Vileplume. See how they can work together, as the Ghost types are going to take a returning Drifblim. And for the Fire type team, they are going to take Houndoom, making their debut in the PokeType League this season, as the Psychic types are going to take Reuniclus, whose name is much harder to say, and I will probably stuff that up multiple times this season, as Comfey is going to the Pony Stars. But the Verbank Plasma are taking Victory Bell, also making their debut this season, and it is going to be Appleton joining Flapple for the Draconids, as the Explorers are going to take Frostlass, joining Glalie. Some tag teams already being set up, as the Breakers take Conkeldurr, and I probably will say Conkeldurr at times, as the Aethers take Flamigo, returning for the first time since Season 1. This does round out round 2 of our draft day, and there does seem to be a bit of a pattern going on here. Let us know in the comments below if you can see what is happening, as the Skulls are rounding out their Lycanrocs. They have separated all 3. They are probably trying to get some speed there, as it is Floatzel going to the Aqua this season, and the Neos are going to be taking Persian, as it is going to go to the Pinchers now, who do take Masquerain. And the ground types following up their stamina pick are going to go with Golok, who will have that no guard. I cannot wait to see that in play, as the normal types take Staraptor, finally making their debut, as it is Lantern going to the yellows this season, also making their debut. And it's Brambleghast going to the grass types, as the Galaxy here are going to be drafting Hypno. Quite a number of Pokemon making their debut in this Season 3, as it is Talonflame though returning to the fire types, with Clefable making their debut for the Stars. And it is going to be the Rockets drafting Shiftry this season, as the Steel types, they will be taking Klefki, also making their return since Season 1. And the Ghost types are going to be taking Miss Magius, a former Terrestrial draftee, is returning home to the Ghost types, as Grafire going to the Plasma. The Draconids will be taking Tatsugiri, and the Explorers now getting to make their pick. It is going to be Crabominable making their debut in the PTL this season, as the Breakers take Toxicroak, another Pokemon with former Champions game experience, and the Aethers picking Killer Wattrel here, who will be taking on that shiny form as well. But now that we've seen all three Lycanrocs be drafted to the Skulls, they will finally start picking elsewhere. Now that they've hopefully got their, what they might be hoping be a bit more speed, they are taking Dreadnought, who is not about that speed at all, but it is the ground types taking Palossand this season, and the Delta types are going to be taking Sandslash. I cannot wait to see Sandslash debut, as the water types are taking Barraskewda. I wonder how many Pokemon I am going to stuff up their names during this draft day, as the yellows will be taking Rotom, and it is going to be as that electric ghost type, as the bug types take Araquanid for Season 3. It is going to be the guild with Chinchino going to their side, and it is the Rockets taking Cacturne, another Pokemon once again making their debut, as it is Houndstone, once again a Terrestrial draftee, going to the Ghost type. Scovillain, formerly a member of the Devons, going over to the Fire type team, and it is Ludicolo, who looks excited dancing there on the spot, as the Stars are going to be taking Whimsicott this season. We go over to the Galaxy now, who take Grumpig, also making their debut. And we are going to get the Skarmory debuting for the Macros. The Draconids now taking Dipplin. That Appleton and Flapple Dipplin combination could be amazing, as Persimmon going to the Vilestone Breakers. We have the Explorers, who will be taking Dugong, another Pokemon making their debut, and it is the Plasma, who will be taking Skuntank, once again a Pokemon with Champions game experience. They were actually on the Rockets when they became champions, as Swanna is making their debut for the Medali Aethers. But we are now 4 rounds into this draft, with a lot of debuting Pokemon now, as round 5 kicks off with Stonejourner going to the Skulls. The Magma, they will be taking Gastrodon. I look forward to seeing that Storm Drain in play. And the Aqua are taking Bruxish, who could be an absolute menace to some of those prankster Pokemon. It is Plusle going to the Yellows, as the Neos are going to pick Slowbro. And the Pinchers will be drafting next, as they look to pick Venomoth for their side. The only team so far not to make Victory Road, as Kamala is being drafted to the guild. We'll see if it is awake for this season. The Macros taking a debuting Berserker, and the Stars are going with Granbull here. And it will be the Galaxy following up with their own draft pick of going with Meowstic. We'll see how that can play out this season with those forms. And it is going to be Salazzle, once again a Pokemon with Champions game experience, this time though going to the Fire types, as it's Mimikyu debuting this season for the Sylphs. And Amoonguss is finally making its debut in the PokeType League, and the Rockets taking Crawdaunt. That is a Pokemon I cannot wait to see this season. And it's Shelgon being drafted to the Draconids. Very interesting. We'll see if we can get some information on that, as Ice-Cube is going to the Mahogany Explorers, and the Breakers are taking Hariyama, as I kept thinking it was Makuhito as I was going through the Pokemon list. It is Swalot going to the Plasma, and the Aethers taking, once again, this time Dodrio debuting in the PokeType League with that shiny form. And No doubt the Aethers are going to look to try and repeat this season so they can go 2 seasons in a row with that shiny form. The Rock types starting off round 6 with Cloth, who will be able to make a massive impact with that Anger Point. I imagine it is Minun that will be joining Plusle. We'll see how they go as a tag team, as the Aqua are taking a Lola Mola, and I cannot believe I got that name correctly in one go. The Pinchers going with a Volbeat as we send it over to the Magma to make their choice, and they are going with Whiscash. We'll see how I go with pronouncing that one, as the guild are taking in DD, who I did think was a Gen 6 Pokemon, but it is not from Kalos, it is from Galar, and it is Slowking going to the Lentil Neos, as the Devons will be taking Jumpluff to try and get a bit of speed on their side. The Rockets taking low kicks, as we will be sending it now to the Macros, and they will be drafting Magneton. Interesting, quite similar to the Draconids. Again, we will see if we can get some information on that, as Trevenant is going to the Sylphs, and the Fire types taking Torkoal, another Pokemon I cannot wait to see with that Drought ability. The Galaxy are taking Chimecho, a very fun choice for that side, as the Stars are taking Wigglytuff, making their debut as well this season. And the Plasma have taken Survivor, who may be a massive fang for some sides, but it's Dragonair now being drafted to the Draconids, as the Explorers do opt to take Frostmoth here, and the Breakers will be going with Hitmontop. That is a fantastic choice, as the Aethers now are taking Tropius as the last pick for round 6. And there have been some fascinating choices so far in this draft as we are going into round 7. There's only 3 more picks for each side, as it's Sudowoodo starting off round 7 for the Pewter Skulls. The Lentil Neos are taking Dugtrio now, as it is going to be the Yellows following it up with their own pick, going with the Dene. We'll see if this little rodent can be a menace this season. Luminion going to the Aqua, as the guild are going to be drafting Mousehold. We'll see how well they can work with their family here, as the Magma are taking Quagsire, a fantastic choice, taking that Water type, as well as Ilamise. Wow, I did not expect to stuff that name up. Is going to be joining Volbeat, and it's Sliggoo in its Hisuian form going to the Macros. Some interesting questions being raised here, as Camerupt does go to the Flare, and the Sylphs are going to be drafting Banette. That is a horrifying Pokemon, way too big of a smile, as Azumarill is going to the Stars, and it is the Devons following that up with Sunflora, who looks extremely happy to be here in the PokeType League, getting their jersey, and it is Veluza going to the Anastar Galaxy, as the Spikemas Rockets are taking Mighty Yena, a fantastic Pokemon for the Dark types, and the Explorers now going with a Bomber Snow. They are looking for that Snow warning, no doubt. The Draconids going with Dracloak. I cannot wait to see a Ghost type on the Dragon type team. It is Quillfish in its Jotonian form now, going to the Plasma, as the Breakers have taken Hitmonlee, and I can only imagine who they'll be taking in round 8, as the Aethers get Pelipper. I cannot wait, another Pokemon who I cannot wait to see debut in the PokeType League. It is renowned for its capabilities in double battles, and we'll see if it can produce the goods this season as we go into round 8. And it is now going to be Pupitar going to the Skulls, as there will be some interesting questions, but it is Vivillon going to the Pinchers here. The Yellows will be drafting Pachirisu, who is renowned for its champion status, and Greedent going to the Guild, as we do go over to the Magma, taking Clodsire to join Quagsire. Again, some fantastic tag teams being set up this season. It is Raichu going to the Neos. They have drafted some very unique Pokemon this season, as Wugtrio is going across to the Aqua. The Sylphs opting to draft Spiritomb, and again, they have gone for a Pokemon with Terrestrial draftee experience. Rabombi is going to the Stars, and the Devons are taking Breloom, who I have never had the fortune of calling. We do get that debuting this season, and it is going to be more Pekka, who looks like a very happy fellow, going to the Rockets, as Medicham goes to the Psychic types. It's Makago going to the Fire types, and the Macros are going to be taking Metang. I am getting some word as to why these Pokemon are being drafted. We will touch on that shortly, as Arctobax is going to the Ice-type team, the Draconids will be taking goodbye as we go over to the Breakers, and I can only imagine it is Hitmonchan, and there it is. The Hitmons are going to the Breakers as the Plasma are taking Ariados, and to round out the regular picks, it is going to be Toucannon going to the Aethers as we go into our Terrestrial round. And with the Terrestrial round, as it always is, the Pokemon that they draft will be of different types, but they will terrestrialize into the side they have been drafted to as soon as possible once they have entered the field. And it will be once again the Skulls starting off, but this is our last round, and they are going with Bombardier going to the Rock type types that will be dropping those rocks on opponents. As Palafin goes to the guild, it is just a normal Dolphin after all, and Lurantis does go to the Bug types. The ground types will be taken for it. We do look forward to it digging some burrows, as the Aqua are going to be drafting Ambipom. And I would not want to touch those things as a flotation device, as the Neos are taking their regular pick of Ditto. I cannot wait to see what it can produce this season. The Yellows with another levitating Pokemon in Weezing, as the Stars going with Lilligant. And we will be sending it to the Macros as they're going to be taking Phalanx to lead with that spinning axe. The Devons are going to be taking Rabsco, who probably looks to roll that ball through the grass. The Sylphs are taking Spidops, who you could not hear in the night. It will be fantastic as a ghost. Arbok, of course, going to the Rockets. It is the Galaxy now going with Noctowl, trying to add that Psychic prowess. The Fire types taking that overcooked Dashbun to their side. And the Plasma have picked Zangoose to go along with Seviper. How will they cope? It is Sourcebark going to the Explorers, as the Draconids are taking Cramorant of all Pokemon, and the Breakers are taking Politoed to join Poliwrath on the Fighting type side, and the Aethers will be taking a Spatra. As that rounds out our team's draft for this season, we will be having a look at their lineups and the natures that they have, as it will be the Pewter Skulls with that gentle ability. Their top stat is going to be that 108 attack, and we can see that wooden crown in the top corner that they have been donned for this season, unfortunately. And they've got those 3 Lycanrocs all separated. We could see them all on the field together, which would be an amazing and potentially very frightening sight for opposing sides, as the Skulls do want to improve on last season after a terrible showing. But the Magma with some water types to go along with their ground typing and that water absorb. They've got the Quagsire Clodsire connection and that Jolly ability. They have taken for it. They've got the no retreat of Golurk, and they've got the stamina in Mudsdale, and Donphan is always a fantastic sight to see here in the PokeType League. I cannot wait to see what the Viridian Magma can produce, potentially offsetting their weakness to those ground types, although they may not want to run into the Devons. As the Lentorneros, we cannot confirm what their top stat actually is. With the unique setup they have and the Pokemon that they have picked, they will be a very unique side, more unique than they have ever been before, with their capability of change between games. But they do come in with that nature of hasty as well. But again, like I said, I cannot wait to see this side perform, especially with that Sandslash as we go over to the Castelia Pinchers with that top stat in their special defense of 85. They've got that Adamant nature, and they, as I mentioned earlier, are the only side who are yet to appear in Victory Road, and they are going to need to do everything to ensure that they go past regulation season this time around. They have been working so hard, but they just can't get those wins when they need. Will Season 3 be the difference as we go to the Lumo Shellers, who are looking to go with that speed, top stat 95 with that lonely nature? Now they've only picked the Hisuian Electrode, whereas they've got the Weezings as their Terrestrial drafter, and we see Rotom here as well. But the Muscle, the Plusle and Minun connection, teaming up, we'll see how well they can go, and if Electrode can capitalize being the quickest Pokemon in the PokeType League. As we go over to the Golden Road Guild, we get to see Staraptor debut. They've picked Pelifin, that regular dolphin, as well as the Mousehold family. Will be very interesting to see what they can do. Their top stat, once again, being those hit points, this time 88 with that lax nature. But as I said, we get to see Staraptor finally debut in the PokeType League. Really curious to see how the Mouseholds will perform, whether that be with their home field advantage or when they are on the road. But it is the Sootopolis Aqua, and they've got even more speed than the Yellows. That top stat, 98 speed with their sassy nature. Again, Ambipom, I would not want to be using those things as a flotation device, but we will be seeing Golduck make its debut for the water types. It was previously a Psychic Terrestrial draftee. We see the return of Cluitza as well. They've got a lot of monotypes on their team. Once again, they may need to expand beyond that, but we'll see how they can go here as they look to return to Victory Road. We are going over to the Montana Verisylphs, who once again have that impish nature, and their top stat is that 90 special defense. Now, they've got 3 Pokemon on their side who were previously terrestrial draftees, 5 Pokemon who have been in the PokeType League before. They will be able to help out their debuting Pokemon and potentially help Spidops as a terrestrial draftee itself, looking to thrive amongst the ghost types. But I cannot wait to see what this team can do in the PokeType League. It is the Spikemas Rockets, again the former champions, having won the PokeType League of VGC Season 1. Coming in, once again, their top stat is 99 with that physical attack. We get to see Scrafty leading this side, the likes of Crota. None of these Pokemon were on this side when they were a champion team, so we'll see if they can rectify their previous season and get back on top as they look to take over the PTL. But we go over to the Anastar Galaxy. Their top stat's going to be that 92 special defense. They're going to be very calm, very collected. We would expect that with their mental prowess, as it is Gothitelle who is going to be leading the charge for this time, returning to the PokeType League, the only Pokemon here who has actually been in the PTL before. But we'll see, as this side did very well last season, although they were knocked out early in Victory Road. I look forward to seeing if they can produce this time around. As we go over to the Lava Ridge Flare, they've got the returning Ninetales and Talonflame. Scovillain, who was not a great member of the grass types, has come across as well after missing out on Season 2. They've got that relaxed nature as things are going to be heating up, and that 90 special attack, but they have a lot of mixed combinations here as they look to bring that, and they've got that Drought with that Torkoal. Cannot wait to see that come into play. But again, that Alola Ninetales will be leading the way as they look to make it into the Elite Four for the first time. But it's the Eterna Devons as well. That bold nature. They've got the Amoonguss and that 88 special attack. Again, Ludicolo looking very happy to be here, just like Sunflora as well. And they've got that Volplume and Blossom tag team, who we could see try and work some magic with those powders, with those stun spores, with those spores and status conditions galore that the Eterna Devons, we know they can produce. We will see if they can get themselves back into Victory Road this season, as the Ulu Macros knocked out early in Victory Road last season. They are coming in quite naive. It is Orthworm and Klefki with some previous experience, but we can confirm, due to the lack of depth for some of these types, they can use Pokemon that are not in their final forms, and this will count towards their later stages in later seasons, but we will touch on that briefly in a moment. So that is why we're seeing the likes of Magneton, Sliggoo, Goodbye, and Dracloak, as the Pony Stars with their rash nature just missed out on an Elite Four position last year. And they're going to want to go one better, or a lot better, win that Champions game, as we have Alcremie leading the way. But I cannot wait to see what Azumarill can do this season, as well as the Lilligants for the Pony Stars. We've got Rabombi, we have that Prankster Whimsicott, I believe that is the ability they have brought in with it, as the Vilestone Breakers, again leading with that massive 108 physical attack. They have that careful nature, so they're strong, but they can be careful, as the Hitmons are all here. But we've got the Polys as well, a lot of tag teams, a lot of teamwork on this side. They've actually got some great well-rounded stats. They could be a massive threat this season, as we know what they are capable of. They did make the Elite Four last season round, and it is the Verbank Plasma, who again, two-time Elite 4 members, they want to get back there, they want to get that champion status. They've got Skuntank, who has that champions experience. They've got Toxapex with that champions game experience. They need Survivor and Zangoose to work together though and get along and not tear things apart from the inside. They've got that 92 physical attack with that brave nature coming into play. And for the Draconids, again, that depth coming into play. They've got the Shelgon, Dragonair, Dracloak, and Gabite, but they've got that Flapple, Appleton, Dipland teamwork. They've got the Tatsugiris, and they've got Cramorant. I cannot wait to see Cramorant as a Terrestrial draftee, especially for the Dragon-type team. Their top stat is 84 in their attack. Normally, they are a well-rounded team, and they've got that timid nature coming into play this season as they hope to make the Champions game. Now, the Mahogany Explorers did make the Champions game. They missed out on that champion status though, as they come in with that top stat of 88. They've got that naughty nature that could be very beneficial. They've got the Arctobax. Baxcalibur was a fantastic member of this team. They've got the Frostlass, Glalie combination, and a Abomasnow here. This side has the potential to do very well if they can build on what they started last season. But our final team, the Medali Aethers, coming in with that shiny status, the PokeType League champions. Their top stat is their 91 speed. They can be a very strong side though, that modest nature. They've got all of these fantastic shiny forms, and they want to take that and play just as well. Pulucha, Toucannon, Espathra, Winger, Flamigo, all of these Pokemon, they will want to bring it and repeat, be the first team to repeat as PokeType League champions. But with that, some of you may be wondering why such a change for the draft this season. Well, heading into next season, no longer will stats be a determining factor on the draft. It will be on how the Pokemon have played in previous seasons that will dictate whether they are picked up on draft day or dropped from a team entirely. So it has never been more important for Pokemon to play their very best in the PokeType League VGC. But with that said, Nidorinos, let us know which team you think will be standing tall in the Champions game at the end of Season 3. And if you enjoyed what you see, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I'll see you when you see me.